The invitation arrived in my mailbox on a Tuesday afternoon, embossed cardstock in a cream-colored envelope. I opened it standing in my kitchen, still wearing my work blazer. Celebrating 35 years of excellence, Richard Hayes' retirement dinner. Join us in honoring his distinguished career for successful children and their families only. That last line was handwritten at the bottom in Mom's distinctive script. My phone rang within minutes. "You got the invitation?" Dad's voice was brisk, businesslike. The same tone he'd used with me for the past decade. "I did." "So, you understand why we had to be selective about the guest list." He didn't phrase it as a question. "This is a professional event. My colleagues from the firm will be there. Partners, senior associates, important clients. We need to present the right image. And I don't fit that image." "Sweetheart, you work retail. Your brother is a patent attorney. Your sister is a pediatric surgeon. They're bringing their families, their accomplishments. We can't have," he paused, searching for diplomatic words. "We can't have the evening be awkward." I looked out my kitchen window at the city skyline. From my penthouse apartment, I could see half the downtown corridor. My reflection in the glass showed a 34-year-old woman in a tailored suit that cost more than Dad probably thought I made in a month. "I understand," I said quietly. "I knew you would." Relief flooded his voice. "You've always been reasonable about these things. We'll do a family dinner after, just us. Something casual." "Sure, Dad." "Excellent. I have to run, meeting with the retirement committee. Take care, sweetheart." He hung up before I could respond. I set the invitation on my granite countertop and stared at it for a long moment. Then I opened my laptop and navigated to the foundation account I'd established 3 years ago. The Hayes Family Foundation. Anonymous funding for the exact charity Dad's law firm supported every year. My contributions over the past 3 years totaled $2.8 million. I made one phone call. "This is Natalie Hayes," I said when my program officer answered. "I need to schedule a funding announcement for the Henderson Youth Legal Aid Program. I'd like it to coincide with Richard Hayes' retirement dinner. And I'd like it to be public this time." The assumption that I worked retail wasn't entirely wrong. I did work retail. I owned it. 10 years ago, I'd started as an assistant manager at a boutique clothing store, the kind of job my family called temporary and transitional. Something to do while I figured out my real career. Except I'd loved it. Loved the visual merchandising, the customer relationships, the inventory strategy, the rhythm of seasons and trends. Within 2 years, I'd been promoted to general manager. Within 4, I'd opened my own boutique with a small business loan and my life savings. That first store, Hayes & Company, though I never told my family the name, succeeded beyond my projections. I opened a second location within 18 months. Then a third. Then I started franchising the model. Now, 10 years later, Hayes & Company had 47 locations across 6 states. Annual revenue last year was $127 million. I employed over 800 people. I'd been featured in 3 business magazines and had spoken at 2 retail conferences. But to my family, I still worked in a clothing store. I'd tried correcting them early on. When the second location opened, I'd invited everyone to the ribbon cutting. Mom had come for 20 minutes, left before the ceremony, and told me later it was cute that I was playing businesswoman. Dad had sent flowers with a card that said, "Good luck with your shop." My brother, Trevor, had laughed when I'd explained the franchise model. "Retail isn't real business, Nat. It's not like what I do. Patent law requires actual expertise." My sister, Caroline, had been kinder but equally dismissive. "That's wonderful that you have a hobby that makes money. But maybe think about something more stable? Something with benefits and retirement." After a while, I'd stopped correcting them. Stopped sending business updates. Stopped inviting them to openings and milestones. I attended family dinners in simple clothes, drove my older Camry instead of the Mercedes I kept in my private garage, and spoke vaguely about store operations when asked about work. They'd filled in the blanks themselves. Assumed I was a store manager, maybe assistant manager on bad days. Working hourly. Probably struggling financially. The family charity case who'd never quite launched. Trevor brought his elegant wife and 2 private school children to every gathering, talking about his latest corporate client and his partnership track. Caroline brought her surgeon husband and discussed medical conferences in Europe. They were the success stories, the ones who made Dad proud. I was the one they seated at the kids' table until I was 30. So when the retirement invitation arrived with that handwritten note, for successful children and their families only, I understood exactly what it meant. I wasn't invited because I was an embarrassment. Dad's retirement dinner was scheduled for Friday evening at the Grandview Club, the most prestigious venue in the city. The same place where his law firm hosted their annual gala, where partners celebrated major case victories, where the legal elite gathered. I spent that Friday morning in a board meeting with my executive team, reviewing Q3 projections and discussing expansion into 2 new markets. My CFO presented numbers that showed we were tracking 23% above last year's revenue. My head of operations outlined a new employee profit-sharing program I'd approved. "This is generous," my CFO said, reviewing the profit-sharing details. "You're essentially giving away $7 million in distributions." "Our employees built this company," I said. "They should share in its success." After the meeting, I returned to my office, corner suite, floor-to-ceiling windows, original art on the walls, and checked my personal email. The Henderson Youth Legal Aid Program had confirmed the announcement. They'd scheduled it for 6:30 p.m., right as Dad's retirement dinner would be starting cocktail hour. The press release was ready. The board chair would be making remarks thanking the anonymous donor who'd sustained their program for 3 years. The anonymous donor whose identity would be revealed tonight. My assistant knocked on my door frame. "Ms. Hayes, your sister is online too. She says it's important." I picked up. "Caroline." "Natalie." Her voice was tight. "I just wanted to confirm you're not planning any drama for Dad's retirement dinner." "I'm not attending Dad's retirement dinner." The invitation made that clear. "Yes, but I know how you can be. Making things awkward, trying to draw attention to yourself. Dad's worked his entire career for this moment. Please don't ruin it." I closed my eyes briefly. "Caroline, I have no intention of ruining anything. I'm not even going to be there." "Good. Because Trevor and I have worked hard to make this perfect for him. The speeches, the video tribute, the gift from the firm. We don't need," she paused. "We don't need any complications." "There won't be any complications from me. Thank you." She softened slightly. "I know you probably feel left out, but you have to understand. This is about Dad's professional reputation. The people attending they're at a certain level. It's not personal." "Of course not," I said quietly. "I understand completely." After she hung up, I sat in my office for a long moment, looking out at the city. Then I changed into the evening gown I kept in my office closet for after-work events. Navy silk, elegant, understated. I called my driver and headed to the charity event I actually was attending, a fundraiser for women's business initiatives, where I was receiving a community leadership award. The retirement dinner would have started at 6. Cocktail hour, mingling, colleagues sharing stories about Dad's legendary career. My family would be there in their finest clothes, Trevor and Caroline positioned as the proud children, their successful families reflecting well on Dad's legacy. I was across town at the women's business fundraiser, accepting my award, giving a brief speech about the importance of supporting female entrepreneurs. My phone was on silent in my clutch. At 6:45, it started vibrating. Continuously. I ignored it through dinner, through the networking hour, through conversations with other business owners and community leaders. Finally, around 8:30, as I was preparing to leave, I checked my messages. 17 missed calls. 23 text messages. 4 voicemails. All for my family. The texts ranged from confused to frantic. "Trevor, call me now. What did you do?" "Mom." Natalie Marie Hayes. "Explain yourself this instant." Caroline. "How could you humiliate Dad like this? At his own retirement dinner?" "Dad, we need to talk. Immediately." I listened to the first voicemail. It was Trevor, his voice sharp with anger. "I don't know what game you're playing, Natalie, but announcing a multi-million-dollar donation at Dad's retirement dinner? Making it all about you? That's low. Even for you. Call me back. The second was Caroline, crying. Everyone is asking questions. Dad's boss cornered him. The firm partners want to meet you. You've completely derailed his evening. How could you be so selfish? The third was Mom, coldly furious. Your father is humiliated. His colleagues are demanding to know why his daughter, his retail worker daughter, is claiming to have donated millions to their charity program. They think it's a prank or fraud. Fix this. Now. The fourth was Dad. His voice shook. Natalie. The firm's managing partner just informed me that the Hayes Family Foundation, which apparently you run, has donated $2.8 million to our charity program over 3 years. He wants to honor you at my retirement dinner. Everyone is asking why I never mentioned having a daughter who runs a foundation. I look like a fool. I need you to explain what's happening. I stood in the parking lot of the fundraiser venue, holding my phone, feeling absolutely nothing. Then I called Dad back. He answered on the first ring. Natalie. Where are you? The managing partner wants to meet you. They're holding the speeches until... I'm not coming, Dad. What do you mean you're not coming? They've announced you. The Hayes Family Foundation. Your donation. Everyone knows now. You have to come. No, I don't. You made it very clear I wasn't welcome at your retirement dinner. Successful children only. Remember? Silence on the other end. I didn't know, he said finally. His voice was different now. Smaller. I didn't know about any of this. The foundation, the donations, Natalie. What exactly do you do? I own a retail company, Dad. Just like I've been telling you, for 10 years. A retail company that generates enough profit to donate millions to charity? Hayes and Company. 47 locations. $127 million in annual revenue. 800 employees. I'm the founder and CEO. I've tried telling you this at least a dozen times over the past decade. You've never been interested in hearing it. Another long silence. The managing partner knows, Dad said quietly. He showed me a Forbes article about retail entrepreneurs. You're in it. There's a photo of you at some conference. You're listed as one of the top female-founded retail companies in the region. That article came out 6 months ago. I sent it to the family group chat. Mom said it was nice that I was featured in a magazine. We thought it was a local boutique newsletter. Some small business spotlight. It was Forbes, Dad. The subject line said Forbes. I could hear noise in the background, voices, conversations, the murmur of the dinner continuing around him. They want to honor you, Dad said. The managing partner. He wants to add a tribute to the evening's program. For your philanthropic work. He's saying you've single-handedly kept the youth legal aid program operational for 3 years. I have. But why? Why donate to our firm's charity? Why stay anonymous? I looked up at the stars beginning to appear in the evening sky. Because I believe in what the program does. It provides legal services to kids who can't afford representation. That matters. It matters more than who gets credit for it. But you let them announce it tonight, at my retirement dinner. No, Dad. I scheduled the announcement for tonight. There's a difference. Why? His voice cracked. Why would you do this tonight? To embarrass me? To get revenge for the invitation? I didn't do it to embarrass you. I did it because they asked me when I wanted to go public with my funding, and I chose tonight. The retirement dinner for Richard Hayes, distinguished attorney, pillar of the legal community. It seemed appropriate that your colleagues would learn the same night you did exactly who your daughter actually is. Natalie. I have to go, Dad. I have another event. But you should tell the managing partner that I appreciate the gesture, but I don't need a tribute. The donation speaks for itself. Enjoy your retirement dinner. I hung up before he could respond. The calls continued through the weekend. Mom left increasingly desperate voicemails demanding I come to the house to sort this out. Trevor sent angry texts about how I'd manipulated the situation. Caroline called crying, saying I'd ruined Dad's special evening. I responded to none of them. On Monday morning, I arrived at my office to find my assistant looking flustered. Ms. Hayes, there's a gentleman here to see you. He doesn't have an appointment, but he says he's your father. He's been waiting since we opened. Dad stood in my reception area wearing a suit, looking diminished somehow. Older. He stared at the Hayes and Company logo on the wall, at the professional photos of our locations, at the business awards displayed in glass cases. He turned. I didn't believe it. Even after Friday night, even after looking you up online, seeing the articles, the business filings, the company website, I didn't believe it until I saw this. He gestured around the reception area. This is real. Yes. Can we talk? In your office. I led him down the hallway, past my team's offices, past the conference rooms, to my corner suite. He walked slowly, taking in every detail. The company photos on the walls, the employee recognition boards, the expansion maps showing our 47 locations. In my office, he sat in the client chair across from my desk. I sat in my executive chair. I owe you an apology, he said. Multiple apologies. For the invitation. For the past 10 years. For never asking, never really listening when you tried to tell me. Okay. That's it? Just okay. I folded my hands on my desk. What do you want me to say, Dad? You're right. You never listened. You decided who I was, retail worker, family embarrassment, not successful enough for your professional dinner, and nothing I said or did changed that narrative. So yes, you owe me an apology. But I've built a successful company and a meaningful life despite that, not because of it. He looked down at his hands. Your mother thinks you timed the donation announcement to humiliate me. I timed it to be announced. The fact that it happened at your retirement dinner is just timing. But you knew it would cause. I knew it would reveal the truth, I said evenly. That's not the same as causing humiliation. You humiliated yourself by never bothering to learn what your daughter actually does for a living. That's harsh. It's accurate. I softened slightly. Dad, I sent you business updates. I invited you to store openings. I tried to explain the franchise model, the growth strategy, the expansion plans. Every single time, you dismissed it. You called it a shop, a hobby, something I was doing while I figured out my real career. I didn't understand retail could be, he gestured helplessly. This. You didn't want to understand. Understanding would have required admitting you were wrong about me. He was quiet for a long moment. The managing partner wants to set up a meeting. With you. The firm is considering a partnership with your foundation, matching your donations to the legal aid program. That's generous of them. He also asked why you weren't at the retirement dinner. I told him you weren't available. He found that strange, given that my other children were there and you're clearly the most professionally successful of the three. I raised an eyebrow. What did you say to that? I said we'd had a miscommunication about the guest list. That met my eyes. I couldn't tell him the truth. That I'd uninvited my own daughter because I thought she worked hourly retail and would embarrass me in front of my colleagues. While she was running a company 4 times more profitable than anything Trevor or Caroline will ever touch. Trevor and Caroline have successful careers too. They do. But they walked into established systems. Law firm partnerships. Medical residencies. Prestigious paths that were already laid out. You built something from nothing. That's actual entrepreneurship. He paused. That's what my colleagues kept saying Friday night after the announcement. That building a successful retail empire is harder than climbing a corporate ladder. That real business creation requires a level of risk and vision that most people don't have. And you're telling me this because? Because I was wrong. His voice broke. I was wrong about you, about your work, about what constitutes real success. And I'm sorry. I'm so deeply sorry, Natalie. I felt something shift in my chest. Not forgiveness exactly. That would take time. But acknowledgement that he was seeing me, really seeing me, for perhaps the first time. Thank you for saying that. Can I make it up to you? Somehow. I considered the question. Have dinner with me. A real dinner, where you ask questions about my business and actually listen to the answers. Meet my executive team. Visit one of my stores, not as a brief courtesy, but as a genuine visit. Learn what I've built. I'd like that. And Dad? Stop comparing me to Trevor and Caroline. We have different careers, different paths, different definitions of success. That's okay. But I need you to value my path as much as you value theirs. He nodded. I will. I promise. The first real dinner happened the following week. Dad came to my penthouse apartment, his first time visiting since I'd bought it 3 years ago, and stared at the space in open shock. This is yours. All mine. The whole floor. The whole floor. He walked through slowly, taking in the chef's kitchen, the original artwork, the wraparound balcony with city views. I thought you lived in that apartment near the university. The one bedroom you had when you first started managing the store. I did. 7 years ago. I've moved twice since then. We had dinner at my dining table, catered from an upscale restaurant, because I never pretended to be a chef. I walked Dad through the company's history, showing him the business plan I'd written a decade ago, the expansion models, the franchise agreements, the employee programs. He asked real questions about revenue streams and inventory management and customer acquisition costs. Questions that showed he was trying to understand, not just waiting for his turn to talk. You built this while we thought you were struggling, he said over dessert. While we talked about you needing to find something more stable. Yes. And you never corrected us more forcefully. Never made us see. I tried, Dad. I tried for years. Eventually, I realized I couldn't make you see anything you weren't willing to look at. So I focused on building instead of convincing. I wish you'd, he stopped. No. That's not fair. You did tell us. We didn't listen. That's on us, not you. Over the following weeks, things shifted gradually. Dad visited my flagship store, spent 2 hours talking to my store manager about operations. He attended a board meeting as an observer, sat quietly in the back, and afterward told me he'd never seen someone command a room the way I did. He told Trevor and Caroline they needed to apologize. Trevor came to my office stiff and formal, said he was sorry for dismissing my career, but his tone suggested he still didn't quite understand what he was apologizing for. Caroline met me for lunch, cried, and said she'd never realized I was actually successful because I'd never acted successful around the family. You always dressed so plainly and drove that old car, and never talked about money. How were we supposed to know? By listening when I talked about my business, I said gently. By asking questions. By treating my work with the same respect you wanted for your own. I'm sorry, she said. Really? I know I can't fix the past 10 years, but I want to do better. Mom was harder. She oscillated between pride and resentment, unable to reconcile the daughter she'd categorized as unsuccessful with the woman who owned a multi-million-dollar company. I just don't understand why you hid it from us, she said when she finally agreed to have coffee with me. I didn't hide it, Mom. I lived it openly. You just never looked. But you could have made us understand. Could have, I don't know, shown up in nicer clothes or talked about money more or something. Why would I do that? My worth isn't in my clothes or my car or how much I flaunt my success. It's in what I've built, the people I employ, the impact I make. I shouldn't have to perform wealth for my family to respect me. She didn't have an answer for that. 6 months after Dad's retirement dinner, the Hayes Family Foundation and Dad's former law firm announced a formal partnership, matching donations for the Youth Legal Aid Program, a scholarship fund for kids pursuing legal careers, an internship program connecting underprivileged students with law firm opportunities. The press conference was held at my company's headquarters. Dad stood beside me as we cut the ribbon on the new program, both of us smiling for cameras. I'm proud of you, he whispered as the photographers snapped pictures. I should have said that a decade ago. I should have said it every day. But I'm saying it now, and I'll keep saying it. I'm so incredibly proud of you. I squeezed his hand. Thank you, Dad. Later, at the reception, Trevor approached me with his wife. I've been thinking, he said, about starting my own practice, leaving the firm, but I'm terrified of the risk of building something from scratch. It is terrifying, I said honestly, but it's also the most rewarding thing I've ever done. Would you be willing to talk to me about it? About the business side of entrepreneurship? I know patent law, but I don't know how to build a company. I smiled. I'd be happy to. Let's set up a time. Caroline joined us with her husband. My hospital is considering a retail partnership, a medical supply boutique concept. I told them I knew someone they should talk to. Send me the details, I said. I'll look at the proposal. Mom stood with Dad across the room, watching our conversation. She still looked uncertain, like she was trying to reconcile multiple versions of me in her mind. But she was trying. That was something. The managing partner from Dad's old firm approached me as the reception was winding down. Ms. Hayes, I wanted to thank you again for your foundation's partnership. The legal aid program would have closed without your support. I'm glad we could help. I also wanted to apologize. Your father is a valued colleague and friend. If I'd known he had a daughter accomplishing what you've accomplished, I would have insisted she be honored at his retirement dinner. The oversight was unfortunate. It wasn't your oversight, I said gently. It was a family communication issue. But thank you. He smiled. Your father talks about you constantly now. Your business model, your growth strategy, your employee programs. I think he's become your biggest advocate. Better late than never, I said. After the reception ended, Dad and I stood on my office balcony, looking out at the city. I spent 35 years building a career, he said quietly. Building a reputation. Earning respect from my peers. And all that time, you were building something bigger, something more impressive, and I never even noticed. You noticed what you valued. Corporate success, traditional careers, established paths. I wasn't those things, so you didn't see me. But I should have. Yes, I agreed. You should have. But you're seeing me now. That's what matters. He nodded slowly. The retirement dinner. Looking back, that was probably the best thing that could have happened. The wake-up call I needed. You could have had the wake-up call without excluding me from your retirement dinner. I know. I'm not saying I'm glad I hurt you. I'm saying I'm glad I finally understand who you are. We stood in comfortable silence, watching the city lights flicker on as evening fell. Are we okay? Dad asked finally. Can we be okay? I thought about the invitation that had said successful children only. About 10 years of dismissal and assumptions. About the business I'd built anyway, the life I'd created despite their lack of recognition. And I thought about this moment, standing with my father, having a real conversation, being seen for who I actually was. We're getting there, I said. It'll take time. But yes, I think we can be okay. He smiled, and for the first time in years, it felt genuine. Below us, the city hummed with life. 47 Hayes and Company locations across 6 states. 800 employees building their own versions of success. A foundation making real impact. A family slowly learning to see clearly. I'd built all of it without their approval. But having it now, earned through truth rather than performance, felt like finally being invited to a dinner I actually wanted to attend.